welcome back to the Voices of Future Generations Children's Story Building Webinar 2. Today we are looking at how to harmoniously blend in the story competition theme into your story plots. So today's thinking question is, why do authors write stories? So I want you to think about, why do authors write stories? Okay? I'm sure that as we move along the webinar and I share different ideas with you and you come up with fantastic ideas, we're going to be able to answer this towards the end. What is theme? But before I start, I'm going to ask you, what do you mean by harmonious? So harmonious means blended, coordinated. Synonyms are so important when you're writing a story because you don't want to repeat the same words again and again. And when we're talking about harmony in a story, we're talking about how every piece comes together, following the truth in your story or what you're trying to share, okay? So when we talk about what is a theme can be defined as the big idea in the story, the central idea of a story. It can be the underlying message that comes through the story. It's not dictated in your face. It's something that you just extract as your understanding. It can be a moral in a story or the meaning in a story. So clearly, the theme is what you're trying to, set as a message in your story. That's what you want your reader to take away from your story. Is the story topic the same as the story theme? Now, this slide is the most important. You know why? Because this is going to help you understand how themes are created. Okay? So, topics, remember, are generic and they can be really vast or big or a lot can come inside a topic. So, a topic can be like a big box, and what you put inside the box are your themes. Okay? So, themes are smaller. Now, I can say, as we look at the slide there, that my story topic is courage. But what is the message that I want to deliver to my readers about courage? It is, if you'll not face your fears, you won't succeed. That's the message I want to communicate about courage. Now, imagine that if I was writing a story about gender equality, let's say, then I could write that story. That's a big topic. I can choose to address the story many different ways. Maybe I want to talk about girls in sports. I want to pick up sports as an angle and talk about gender equality. Someone might want to choose to write about men and women being paid similarly, or the same. If they are both qualified, if they both fit the job, then both of them deserve to have the same salary. So people can look at one topic so many different ways. So remember, the topic is the big box and the theme is what you put inside the box. And you can put many things inside the box related to the topic. And in your case, your United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are 17 in number, which we will look in the slides coming together, those are considered as your topic. So if you want to talk about hunger, that's a big topic. But in that topic, you can choose to create your own theme. You can choose to talk about hunger from your perspective and how you look at it. Okay? I'm going to now share with you some tips on how to successfully include a story theme. In our case, our story theme is the SDGs, which are Sustainable Development Goals, and children's rights into your story. Okay? The most important thing is to first start with you. Again, ask questions. Why do I want to write this story? So let's say that I want to write this story about partnerships. I choose the goal partnerships, and I want to write a story about partnerships. Now, I am a teacher or an educator. The reason why I want to write about partnerships is because I understand that if you want a child to be successful in life, then all stakeholders, which means teachers, school, parents, child, everyone has to work together for the child to become successful. So this is the reason why I want to write my story. What value does it add to my life? Now, anything will add value to your life if it's important to you, and you get other people, or you get to persuade other people to agree with your point of view, it will add value to your life. If you get somebody to start thinking about it, or you get somebody to start, take action about it, it will become meaningful. So there is a reason why you share your passions through your story. What is the truth in my story? This word will come up again and again in this webinar. Truth. Truth is the same thing as your theme. The truth is what you want people to believe at the end of your story. The message that people take away from your story is your truth. Okay? So in my case, if I'm an educator and I want to talk about partnerships, then my truth is that if you are going to partner together, the child is going to feel supported, and a supported child, an emotionally balanced child, is going to be a happy child who's going to perform better. How did I come to realize this truth? Maybe as a child, I did not get the same kind of support for my education. Maybe I realized this because I didn't have this. And so the more people have this, the more people get to, understand the importance of it. So my story truth is that we need to get together to solve the problems of the child so that we can find inclusive solutions. What was my aha moment? Now, every character in a story goes through a difficult period, but then there is this one aha moment which teaches them that they were wrong all along, and actually the truth is something else. And this is one fine way of getting your character to take the story theme along with them. And I'm going to share that with you. It's a very interesting way to look at your characters and engage the story theme throughout the story plot. Okay? After you've understood why you want to write this story and why this goal is important to you, only then you should sit down and write it, not before having that discussion. How can I embed this truth in my story character? Okay, so now I'm going to take the example of another goal. Let's take another SDG goal or a global goal and look at how that can create a theme for us. Okay, let's take the goal good health and well-being. That's one of the SDGs that is most relevant to our times today because of COVID-19, where people are worried about the health of children who are staying at home, of older people who are not limited to sit inside the homes and not go outside with fear of catching corona. Good health and well-being is a major concern with us today. So let's take that goal as an example and look at this slide, okay? Now imagine if you wanted to create a character who believed that winning is everything, that being number one is everything. They believed that from the beginning of the story, and that's something they grew up with, okay? Now, your truth in the story is something different. What you want to teach through your character is that relationships matter, that friends are very important in your life. Friends are more important than any competition in the world. That's the truth that you want your readers to learn through the story. So to do that, you use a misbelief with your character, with your main character. Your main character thinks otherwise. They think that, no, winning is very important. If they win a competition, they get respect and they get position. So start by creating a misbelief for your main character. Then move on, and the lie in the protagonist believes to be true will help you create internal conflict. Now, remember, your character is a child who tends to believe that winning is important, but at the same time, every child in school, at home, in your neighborhood is trying to make friends. Making friends is a very usual, mundane kind of a thing children do while they are growing up. But this character, our character, struggles to make friends because he believes that winning is most important. So this belief of his comes in the way of him making friends. And each time he gets close to a person to create a friendship, he tends to lose out on it because this belief is very strong in him. It is embedded in him. He has grown up with it. It's very difficult to get rid of him, believing that winning is the only thing. So let the lie interfere with the character's success and drive him to failure till he reaches that aha moment, okay? So in your story plot, you're going to you're going to create different situations where your character, comes almost close to understanding the real truth, but then because his belief is so strong, or because winning is so important to him, he does something really mean and loses the friend. How do I strengthen the misbelief of my character? Now, of course, if somebody is believing something from a very long time, you need to create the crisis and the climax in the story. When you're moving in your story plot, it's divided into the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story. So in the beginning, your problem might be shown as small because you're just introducing the problem. Your character believes winning is important. Maybe there is a race happening in the beginning of the story and they win, and you show how important it is to them. But as the middle of the story goes and you build up different situations and put your character into different situations where they are faced with this challenge of losing friends, then that's where you build up the crisis. That's where the tension in the story becomes more, the drama in the story becomes more. So to do that, of course, you need your readers to understand why your character is that way. How did winning become so important to them? Maybe the environment that they live in is such that pushes them to do their best, or they are the only child for their parent and they're used to having the best of everything, and so they are spoiled and they cannot do without being, they cannot they don't enjoy being second best. How do you keep the story theme alive through the plot? Now, what happens? I can tell you some of the stories that we received in cycle 1 had this issue. What used to happen was that children would start off the story with the goal clearly in mind, and they would create the characters and set the story in motion. But soon they would forget about the real theme and start writing about something else. So the story would keep changing into different themes, and eventually, in the end, we didn't really understand what the real purpose of writing the story was. So make sure that you understand how to keep the story theme alive throughout the story. Okay, so let's look at this slide. It says create a few moments of possibilities for the protagonist to find out the truth. Like I said, maybe this child likes spending time with a few friends, and he's really a lovable person through the practices that are happening for the sports day, and he gets close to these friends. And when he gets close, he almost realizes that what he thinks or how he thinks is wrong. But then again, allow the misbelief to come in the way and stop the protagonist from taking a chance. Remember that aha moment is going to come when your character decides to take a chance to do something that he has never tried before. It's when he will do something that he's never tried before that he's going to find what the truth truly is. Okay? When you are growing up believing something strongly, and then you are given the opportunity to do something otherwise, it is always very scary, and most people do not take that step because it's not familiar and it is something unknown. Okay? Help the reader understand that something significant would have to happen for the character to take the plunge. So if your character wants to do something different, you would have to create something really big in the story. The problem would have to be really big. The stakes would have to be really high. Means that it's a life and death situation for the character, and they need to make that decision. That crucial decision that your character makes is going to help them understand what the truth is. Maybe they realize in the end that without friends, your health suffers. It's not good for your well-being. You need people for happiness. You need to have people around you to be happy. So this moment of truth can come to you through a significant moment or significant action in the plot. How do I unfold the truth? Now, of course, you're going to come to that point where you want to let your character know what the truth is. So, of course, sequence the events, like I said, spread the events through the story so that they can move from one to another in a logical sequence so that you can know that your character is learning as they're moving. Create a disastrous situation, where the stakes are really high and they need to make a very difficult decision. Allow your protagonist to face their fears and take a step forward. that comes towards the end of your story. So when you are writing the middle of your story and you're coming towards the end, that's when something significant happens and your character finally decides to face their fears or that misbelief and take a different direction. Because going the same direction, he always fails. So he decides to take a different direction. Reveal the truth through the protagonist's victory. So, of course, the fact that he realizes that having friends is more important is victorious, being victorious for him. So, this is how you can unfold the truth. The truth in a theme is really subjective. It's not the final reality or it's not a universal truth, okay? Because the person who's writing it will write it because they experienced it. And the person who's reading your story will also either agree to it or disagree to it based on whether they had a similar experience as you or they've never ever experienced anything like that. So never write a story to please someone, never push a theme in someone's face, or don't try to preach a theme. Don't tell people that this is the way you should live your life or you should be focused on your friends, and you keep preaching the person about it, because preachy stories are not fun. We like stories which leave a message in the mind of the reader and they extract that message on their own. It is not stated in their face, it is not said in their face. They get it through the characters, they get it through the story message or the story theme. The SDGs are 17 in all. You only need to pick up one or two SDGs to write your story. Now treat the SDGs like a topic. Remember, I told you the topic is big, okay? It's a big box. So if you pick up anything from here, like you pick up innovation, or you pick up sustainability or sustainable cities, or you pick up hunger, whichever topic you pick up, you need to create a theme around it. I picked up the goal, which is shared in the example here, reduced inequalities. Now, I can write a story about reduced inequalities different ways. I can choose to look at reduced inequalities from our children of determination's point of view or people with special needs. Maybe my story message is that people of determination should have access to all public spaces, whether they want to go to a cinema or they want to go to a hotel or a restaurant. My character wants to tell everybody that they need to have access to all public spaces, whether it's creating a ramp for them, whether it's providing wheelchairs for them. This is what my story can revolve around when I pick up the topic reduced inequalities. At the same time, somebody else might want to choose the same topic but write from a different perspective. For example, they might want to write about job opportunities. If somebody is getting a job, it should not be based on their gender or their racial background or their shortcomings. It should be based on skills and talents. And anybody who fits in the criteria should be able to get the job. So you can choose a topic, choose any goal, and brainstorm ideas on the different kinds of themes that you can create for your story. When you write your story, make sure that the theme that you select is really true to your heart and it's a message that you really want to pass on to the people, because that's what's going to make a big difference here. Thank you very much. I'm very happy with your participation. As usual, you've always made me proud. I'm going to hope to see you next time, which is Monday, the same time. And next webinar is about secrets to an intriguing plot. It's going to be fun. I hope to see you there. Bye.